You found your way to Blood Moon Radio. I'm Coraley, and this is where we follow the threads the world wants us to drop. In today's conversation with Elizabeth Bromstein, we deconstruct whether belief is necessary for magical systems to work. It's playful, a little personal, honest, and sometimes cheeky. From the magic of highways folding time to whether or not the universe gives a fuck, this conversation is seated in the power of self-sovereignty, knowledge, and lived experience. We call this one Useful Illusions. Welcome to another episode of Blood Moon Radio. My guest today is Elizabeth Bromstein. She's a tarot instructor for skeptics, an author of the book No Magic Required, a perfumer at Beaumont Drive, and she's joining us from Muskoka, Ontario. How are you?
I'm good, Coraley. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Did you read the book? I didn't send you a copy.
You didn't send me a copy, no. I would have read it.
Oh, it's an ebook. I can easily send you a copy.
Oh, awesome. That would be great. I love the cover.
Thank you. Thank you. The magician giving the finger. Thank you.
Little cheeky. I also love the header on your website, the perfume and prophecy. Very bridging from the mundane to the magical.
Yeah, thank you. I like that too. Well, the mundane is magical, to be fair. So
accurate. Not how we're raised, but
yeah, I know.
We know.
There's this idea that there's a separation between things that are magical or things that are scientific and things that are mundane, and there's no overlap between all of those things. But of course, there's overlap between those things. You know, everything is magical. There's magical in the mundane. There's magic in everything.
I think that's probably why I like where things intersect so much. Partially because I always felt that things were magical and mundane or logical, partially because of how my brain works. And so when I was reading your website, the other thing that stood out to me was your page on corporate branding with sense. I just feel like that's such a great mix of witchery, academia, and intellect and business acumen. So it's like, this is amazing. That must be a fun aspect of your business.
Yeah. So the idea in that area is to create spaces that evoke emotional reactions, right? To create environments that evoke emotional reactions so that you have that association. But I mean, it works with people, it works with everything. So scent goes straight. So I don't know if you know this. Tell me if I'm like, you know, they say in the UK, teaching granny to suck eggs. Have you heard that expression? So this is when I'm telling you things you already know, right? So I don't know where they got the teaching granny to suck eggs, but I just love it. So your brain has relay systems. So everything that goes in gets processed and then sorted into, you know, the individual departments, right? But scent actually bypasses the relay systems and goes straight to your limbic system. So straight to the areas that are responsible for emotion and memory. So for corporate branding, for example, but also for personal branding. I mean, any kind of branding, everybody, I think we all want to be remembered. We all want to be thought of. We all want to create a little bit of magic in people's minds, which also happens with corporate spaces. So what happens a lot of the time is you almost have the memory or the association when you smell something before you even know what it is. So your brain plays catch up. And I'm sure you've had this experience with this scent where you smell something and you feel an emotional reaction to it. And then your brain plays catch up and figures out why that emotional reaction is there, right? So that's why that works so well.
I love blending academia with magical study and practice. I feel like we're on the same page with that.
Tell me, what's your favorite area of that? Like, how do you enjoy doing that in your own life?
I really find with the podcasts, there's a lot of discussion around where science and magic overlap, where psychology and magical systems overlap. Those themes have come up over and over again. And I think in my own life, it's a bit of a delayed recognition for me. When I was younger, I always thought the two parts of me were separate because I was very intellectual, very logical, but I was also very intuitive, had a lot of experiences I couldn't explain, and just that internal knowing that I viewed this kind of world that some people didn't seem to see or experience. If I meet someone, I'm feeling your energy, I'm experiencing information in a different way. And I know some of that can be explained away by pattern recognition and all of those things, but I have had experiences that can't be. right? Once I knew that my boyfriend had been in a very serious car accident before I could have known, was one of those times where
That's
I
crazy.
was like, oh, this doesn't align. And I think a culmination of like when you're a child, you haven't fully been taught to ignore, our intuitive side. You're still so playful, so you're tapping into those energies all the time. As I got older, it was only really experiences like that made me realize that the two aren't separate, right? But I was trying to view them as separate. I was trying to rationalize things that had happened. It's only really now in my 40s where I think, embracing both of them. I went through a long period in my marriage where my intuition and my magical side hibernated. And
Mm.
so I'm stepping straight back into it now. Asking me questions, but I've already got so many
I
questions.
was a journalist for like
Back on track.
20 years. Sorry about that. I'll try not to do that anymore.
Oh, it's okay. I love when guests ask me questions. It's just that I'm chatty and we could get off track really easy. It's the hardest part of hosting for me is I could talk all day, to be honest. Your introduction on Podmatch, you describe wanting the effects of belief while maintaining plausible deniability.
Yes. It's the story of my life.
That seems like a more socially acceptable way of engaging with rather than a really truly distinct use of the tarot system. Do you feel like that language is resisting belief or redefining it?
I think it's redefining it. And I've been saying this even in the periods during which I wasn't doing anything, which you're reading any tarot or, any of those things. I've always said when I get into arguments with people about religion, I have always fallen back on, okay, but what does it mean to believe? And what I mean when I say that is if you look at, for example, transubstantiation in the Catholic Church, you get people insisting and they'll want to fight about it and they're calling Catholics stupid, because Catholics believe that the host and the wine become the blood and body of Christ, right? Um, if you start saying, obviously they don't believe that, you're going to get pushback. And if you say they believe that 100%, you're going to get scoffs, right? So there has to be a middle line where we ask ourselves what it means to believe. I can believe that the tarot is always right, and I cannot know why. Uh, but that doesn't mean that I believe wholeheartedly in anything, and it also doesn't mean that I don't. So it's hedging your bets, of course, but it's a new way of looking at belief. And I think it's important because it applies to so many belief systems, all of them. It applies to all belief systems. It applies to science. It applies to atheism. I'm sure that every single atheist you've ever met in your entire life does not 100% disbelieve in the existence of any higher power. I'm sure there's a little part of them, even if they don't admit it, that hopes for, at least, wants, or questions the existence of a higher power. I think it's when we say we have to 100% believe in something that we cut off any possible for exploration and nuance.
I feel like humans are bad at coming to middle ground. And I feel like
You don't say.
Came straight to middle ground.
Yes. If there was a personality description for me, I would be the picture of middle ground in, the dictionary. I hedge my bets on everything, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
you don't look like a middle ground person, though. You look like you have a big personality, and most people who have big, vibrant personalities are fully into whatever it is they're into. I wouldn't describe most people who have an impactful aura, presence, and style as good at being at the middle ground.
How about I am impactfully middle ground? Huh?
Uh-huh. So you do think that it's possible to deeply engage with something like tarot without actually believing in something beyond logic?
Yeah, I absolutely 100% do. But I also think it's important to not shut down the possibility or the idea of anything beyond logic, right? We have this weird idea as human beings that we have to take a side on whatever it is, right? And I talk about this in my book. In the first chapter, I give a couple of examples of theories of the universe, right? Donald Hoffman, he's a psychology professor, and he wrote a book called The Case Against Reality, where he talks about objective reality versus subjective reality, right? So the idea that do you know what those are? Teaching Granny to suck eggs, yes, no?
I think teaching Granny to suck eggs front, we don't know what all the listeners know. So more information is always better than less.
Okay, so objective reality is all of reality, right? So everything that is real. Subjective reality is what any species, including humans, sees, senses, and feels and understands. And his theory is not his own theory, he just explains it really well, is that, of course, our objective reality is not going to be reality. We only see what we need to propagate the species and survive as a species. Just like any other species, dogs, cats, bats, birds, bugs, they see what they need to see. They sense what they need to sense. They smell what they need to smell. So why does everybody think that our reality is actual reality? So everything around us could be anything. Just to speak to your experience with your boyfriend who had the accident or anybody else's, subjective experience, there could be all kinds of forces around us that we simply can't see because they're not of any use to us. And that doesn't mean spirits or ghosts or souls or whatever the sort of typical jargon is about that stuff. It could be literally anything we just don't know, right? So that's one theory. And then there's the multiverse theory, which everyone knows about, right? Like the idea that there's another you, there's infinite yous and infinite other universes having infinite experiences based on, the splitting of the proton when I think it's a proton, an electron, one of those tiny things, when it hits the slit in the paper and then it separates. And then you can only follow the one trajectory that it takes, but it does split. That energy does become two different things. So there's so many theories about reality, but why does one of them have to be right? It's not like we're ever going to know in our lifetime.
Humans like to know, though. That's why you get the argument science is the only truth, but science is always evolving and changing. The more that we learn, it changes data that we thought was absolute in the past, right?
The theory that we, the thingamy, the planets, what am I doing? Planet, sun, universe, solar system, the theory used to be that everything revolved around the Earth, right?
Yeah.
Or that the Earth was flat. That was science. That was, if you believed anything else, you were considered an idiot. So, exactly to what you're saying. Sorry, I got excited when I did this.
I think this is like our dance for the podcast.
So just to wrap up, I think my basic thought is you don't have to believe in anything to believe in it.
Humans don't like that.
No, I know. I like it. I find it comforting.
I do too, but I love big concepts. I love wondering what if. And ever since I was a child, I thought there were multiple universes. It was just a feeling I had.
Wow.
But I've been thinking about meta concepts lately because I got down a little bit of a rabbit hole with Venetian Gnosticism, just due to some experiences I've had in my life.
Okay, I don't even know what that is.
Won't go too deep into it. But, twin flame concepts?
Yes.
Okay, so I saw a post that was like, this is where people came up with that idea and how they've kind of twisted it into this other thing. And it's Venetian Gnosticism, where there's these pairings of universal opposites and yoking or union, which is in lots of spiritual belief systems. And then one of the pairings broke away, and that's where our world came from. And as I was reading it, I was thinking, this is just the theory of universal creation, right? Like it keeps expanding out, and as it expands out, it changes. Yes.
Is that what Plato's, I don't know what it's called, but he had a theory that we all used to be two people and then we split and each became one.
It may have come from that.
Yes.
I haven't read enough yet.
Our other half.
Our other half, yeah. And so as I was reading about Venetian's theories, I was looking at the Christian influence of his work, of his theology. And I was thinking about how humans bring in our perspective. And that's also another layer of the expanding out. Things change, right? Due to our perspective. Like humans participate in the exact same energy that we're talking about the universe creating us participates in. And so I could go on forever, but I just love layered, I love metafiction. I love any concept where we're looking at these, I guess, synchronicities or similarities.
Yeah, they're beautiful concepts.
Yeah.
For people who are skeptical, what would you say feels risky about believing?
People hate two things. People hate uncertainty. So, like you just said, people don't like the idea of being wrong or hedging their bets or not picking a side. But people are also afraid of looking stupid, of embarrassment, of being wrong. And I don't know why that's so huge. Do you have kids?
I do.
Okay. So you know that this stems from such a young age where embarrassment suddenly kicks in around, like, with my kid, it was probably like 7, 8, where the idea
Yeah.
of being embarrassed, of being humiliated, was just so big for her, right? And so this idea that you're wrong, believing in magic can feel very stupid, right? You know, people
Well,
are going
people
to
make you feel stupid.
people make you feel stupid. And I think for particularly my generation, which is Gen X, I mean, the default set is the eye roll, the scoff, right? We roll our eyes and we scoff at literally everything, particularly post 90s switch to, there was the ironic age. There's the iron age, the early iron age, and the 90s was the ironic age, where everything, no, anything sincere is met with an eye roll or a scoff. And I know I'm so guilty of it. I'm trying really hard to be better. So people are embarrassed. They don't want to be scoffed at. They don't want people to roll their eyes. I mean, if you believe something and you're wrong, then you feel dumb. So that's why. So
Yeah.
it's so much easier to come down on the side of, well, I don't believe anything, right? And then I can't be wrong and I can't look stupid.
One of the best things that I did for myself in adult life, because I'm very type A and I was a real perfectionist as a child, is getting out of that mindset, which I think comes from being raised with people using shame to try to manipulate you into doing they say is right or what they want you to be doing. But anyway, to stop viewing mistakes as something bad and realize that they're data. It doesn't matter what you're doing, doesn't matter if it works, doesn't matter if you're wrong or you're right. It's all information that's going to help you on whatever you're working on, whether it's yourself, whether it's a relationship, whether it's learning.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're not going to remember it. You're not going to
No.
remember it. Nobody's going to remember it. We're here on this earth for such a tiny blip of time, and then, other than our tombstone and our children, we're forgotten. My
Yeah.
parents are both gone, and I remember being so worried about what they would think about this or this interaction or this aspect of our relationship that was not going well or what have you. And now they're gone, and everything that mattered to them is gone, and everything, the things that my mother was a big one to scoff at, sort of needing people or wanting help, or she was very, I can do it myself, I'm independent. So she had these aspects of her personality that were so much a part of her, the perfume that she didn't wear, the tea she drank, the big pendants she wore. It's gone. It's all gone. Nobody's going to remember anything. You can make a mistake and who's going to remember?
I think I felt like I was beyond being shamed, but I had some friends over the other night and I was talking to them about I fell in love last year with someone quite a bit younger than me, and the husband made fun of me. Like he was like, "I'm not judging you for sleeping with him. I'm judging you for falling in love with someone so young. Like how is that?"
For thinking that you deserve that or could have that or are that in that
Right.
demographic or are worthy of that?
Well, that thing that relationship taught me, because there was so much that didn't make sense, but there was this undeniable draw to each other, and he made me happy. And before it fell apart, was the healthiest relationship I've ever been in. And so it was a real stepping out of doing what society's going to think is right situations for me. Because I was like, I am happy. And I think to me, connection and love, that's all we have. And that's all we're here to do. And that's what that was. Right. So I had to step out of my own biases and be like, this is making me happy. It's making him happy. We're consenting adults. This isn't affecting anyone negatively. But I started making excuses before I stopped myself. I let his judgment affect me. And I thought I was past that.
But you stopped yourself.
I did.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, my husband's 18 years younger than I am, so.
You know what I didn't like is my friends were supportive. There was a big chunk of them that really fetishized it though. And that gave me the ick. They it was definitely them projecting it into this, "Oh, you're in your 40s and you're gonna sleep with someone from Gen Z." Like he's younger and you go and there's like, it's not about that.
Oh, I know it's not.
Yeah, I bet you know.
At least my husband's a millennial, Jesus.
Technically, I'm an old millennial.
Yeah, you're a millennial. I'm Gen X,
Uh-huh.
so yeah.
Yeah.
If I was with somebody from Gen Z, I feel like that would be a little Leonardo DiCaprio of me.
It was definitely one of those experiences where I was like, this is something outside the mundane realm. I knew him in a previous life, or there's something else going on. And I've never experienced, it's not just the energetic connection, like he, and not just the sex, but that was, I've never experienced anything like that either. But I mean, no one has ever, like, no kiss has ever felt that way. No touch on the leg. No, I have no earthly explanation.
So I'm so sad this relationship fell apart.
I'm not gonna lie, I had like a long period of feeling sorry for myself, being like, universe, why? Like, why would you bring something so lovely, so healthy, so physically fucking amazing in and yank it away?
Yeah, that seems completely unfair. But and to bring it back to systems, I don't believe the universe gives a fuck.
Yeah.
I think the universe just is. Right? So you can't blame the universe.
You've described transitioning to tarot and perfumery work in response to an upheaval from your previous career.
Oh my God.
Can you tell me a little bit about that time in your life?
Yeah, unfortunately, and it's not a me thing, it's a generational thing, and I feel so bad looking at the kids of today too, wondering what's going to happen to their future careers and where they're going to be. It's just simply a matter of I came from a generation where the technological shifts just happened so rapidly. I mean, the beginning of my career was a different world. I was a print journalist, literally, for 5, 6, 7 years. And then I lost everything because everybody was cutting back on freelancers. So I had to transition to web writing. So at the time I was doing web news, web journalism. Then I had to switch to web marketing. So I switched out of sort of news and entertainment news and that sort of thing to software. So I worked in the software industry for, I want to say 8 years-ish, 8-ish years. I was in tech, but in the marketing department. And then fucking ChatGPT came along, and I'm not the type of person who hates AI or thinks that we need to limit technological advancement. It is what it is. I think that, railing against it isn't going to do anybody any good. But I lost my job in March of 2025. And I was not entirely taken aback because I'd been being increasingly shut out of the company ever since it had been sold. And it was a software company. And of course, software companies get, they start as startups. The idea is to build them up and sell them to bigger companies so they get folded in. So everybody gets fired, right? That's just how it's done. Everybody moves, everyone gets fired, everybody moves on. So when it came time for me to look for another job, I realized I've done this 2, 3 times at this point, and every time you have to go back to scratch. And every time the wages aren't going up, they're actually going down for these jobs that you're looking for because they can find younger people who can do them with the help of AI for a fraction of the cost and in a fraction of the time. And of course, I can learn how to use AI, but I don't want to work for $60,000 a year. Like, I can't. My husband and I have 4 children, right? So when I'm looking for these jobs, I'm just like, I'm not going to take another full-time job. And you can climb up the corporate ladder. You can climb up the corporate ladder. Eventually, you're just going to get fucking fired again. You're going to get fired. It doesn't matter. Even if you become the vice president, you're going to be one of the first people to be let go because your salary is huge. If they need to save $300,000 a year, $350,000 a year, there you go. They'll bring somebody else in who can do your job for 80, 100. So that was such a reckoning for me when I realized I cannot, not only do I not want to do this again, I highly doubt that I could find another job again because the market has just changed so much and my skills are no longer valued. I don't know how to make TikTok videos. And I don't want to make TikTok videos, right? And also credential creep when in job postings where they pack and pack and pack it with duties. And just a marketing manager role might now include social media, web design, editing, writing, managing freelancers, sales, dealing with stakeholders, graphic design, metrics for sales metrics, social media metrics, videography. Nobody can do all these things. So they're increasingly disappointed. So I have to do something else with my life. What am I going to do? So I started this company. I wrote this book, but I had no choice. And I still feel like I have no choice. I have to figure out how to make a go of it in a brand new world because I can't work in marketing anymore. It just isn't available to me. So I'm kind of stuck here. So I'm good at perfume. I'm good at tarot. And now I have to do what I can with what I have. Sometimes the world decides it no longer wants what you have to offer it, so you have to offer it something else.
Little divination, little potion making.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want my
In the
tech marketing skills anymore? How about some divination and potions? Yes.
Yeah. In the world of synchronicities, I lost my job in March of 2025 too,
Did
which
you?
is how I started doing all this. And business consulting, like creative consulting,
That's cool.
because you joke about needing to still eat food, but how much of the transition to the work you're doing now versus your white collar work was survival versus a calling?
Wow, that's a hard question because I don't even know if I'd work if I didn't have
Yeah.
to be honest with you. There's this idea that we have to love what we do, which I think is a big pile of bullshit. I don't know if I would work. So it's a calling. We only have a finite number of things at which we are good. I think for anybody, except my husband, he's good at everything. It makes me insane. Whatever he decides to do, he's like, I'm going to do this. And then he does it perfectly. I only have 3 or 4 things that I'm good at. So you just have to pick. So is it a calling? I don't know if I would do anything if I didn't have to feed myself, if I didn't have to eat, if I didn't have to pay the bills. I might make perfume for fun or for my friends or as a hobby, but marketing it is hard. Like I wouldn't want to do the marketing. It's not worth it. I don't if I didn't have to make money, I wouldn't be out here trying to make money. I would maybe read people's tarot cards for free. I probably would have written the book, but I think I'll write a lot more books and many more books as I get older because the fastest way to learn about something is to write a book about it. If I suddenly decide that I want to know everything about Phoenician thingy that you said,
Gnosticism.
Gnosticism, the fastest way to learn that is to write a book about it. So, but yeah, would I be working? No, probably not, if I'm honest, but I would be still doing these things just on a lower scale and a less pressured scale. I feel pressure to launch these things. I feel pressure to get things off the ground. I feel pressure to market. I feel pressure to be on Instagram every stupid day posting a stupid video. Like, why in our society, why does everyone need so much attention? And why do I have to enter that fray to survive? Why do I have to be when I was younger, I was an attention whore. I loved attention. I would have done this no problem. But you get older, you get more mature, and now I'm like, oh my God, I have to be a fucking attention whore again. And also, it's because the problem is in the olden days and back in my day, you could have a job and you could do your job and you didn't have to market yourself, sell yourself. You would work for a company and you would do it. Now there's like smaller companies are fewer and far between. There's only big conglomerates. You're going to get fired when you become vice president. I was a manager. I got fired. But you can't just do your thing. You have to sell. You have to put your face out there. You have to be the face of a brand or you have to figure out a way to market it. And it used to be that you had to buy spots on TV, you had to buy spots in newspapers or magazines or billboards or what have you. So it's great that that's been democratized. Literally, those platforms are now available for free. So that makes it available to everyone. But it also means you have to throw yourself into that fray. And it's frustrating and tiresome. And I think a lot of us don't want to do it, but we find ourselves doing it anyway. I wouldn't be pushing myself onto podcasts if I didn't have to try to make a living. I wouldn't be doing that. I'd be going for hikes in the woods and walking my dog and making fruit salad. Right?
What do you put in your fruit salad?
Oh my God, different things. I don't know. I mean, if it's a standard fruit salad, it's like clementines, strawberries, kiwis, apples, pears. But right now, I have cotton candy grapes. Do you know those things? The
Yeah.
grapes that literally taste like cotton candy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have gooseberries. I
Mhm.
have pineapple. So I'm actually really excited about the fruit salad I'm going to make today.
I always add a little mint to my fruit salad.
In the 1970s, they would soak the fruit salad in a little bit of brandy and let it sit for a couple hours. Sometimes they would put some shredded coconut on it. Brandy and shredded coconut. So good.
I think that's just a way to be like, I didn't have a drink today.
Exactly, but it wouldn't be enough to like get you drunk. And then they would feed it to the kids. I grew up eating fruit salad with brandy.
I've never had it.
It's good. You should
I
try
have to
it.
try.
You should try it. Other things, amaretto. We'll put amaretto in your fruit salad,
Oh,
particularly if there's
Amaretto's good.
cherries and oranges in it. I have a cherry accord. An accord is when you put together scents to make another scent. So a cherry accord, for example, is the very easy one is heliotropin, benzaldehyde, which smells like almonds. Heliotropin is a flower. Benzaldehyde and something called ionone beta, which is violet ionones. Mix those three together and you get cherry. You get a thick, syrupy maraschino cherry. Add some coumarin to that, which is tonka bean extract. It smells almondy and nutty. Also,
Yep.
though, but a little bit vanilla and some orange essence to that, and maybe some lemon. You have yourself beautiful amaretto cherry sour.
Now I'm thinking about my Tom Ford cherry perfume. Only wear that one in the summer,
Okay.
and that's not my main summer perfume. Killian Roses on Ice is my normal summer perfume, but the Tom Ford one has some almond scent to it. I'm wondering if that's why.
Always the cherry accords, the cherry scents are always going to have a little almond.
My signature perfume is Alien Goddess by Mugler.
I only know one scent by Mugler, and I don't know if you've looked at my Instagram at all, but I have opinions about it.
Tell me.
Okay, so the Mugler that I don't like is Angel. I hate Angel. It literally,
I
it
don't
just
think I've
like,
smelled Angel.
it gives me mental hives. I hate it so much. And it's partly because I don't like gourmands. Like I like perfumes that might smell a bit like fruit, but they have to be like a tart, woody fruit. I don't like perfumes that
yeah.
smell like peaches or sweet fruits or cupcakes. And I don't like cupcakes and chocolate and
I
caramel.
read your blog post.
Oh, you did. So there you go. So you read Terry Mugler's
Yeah.
Angel. You know the answer to that question. It makes me angry. I hate the fucking perfume, and I hate the bitch who wore it.
What was in that post about stripper academia?
Yeah, stripper academics.
So I was a stripper back in the 90s, and she's somebody that I worked with there. Anyway, she went on to, she's doing a PhD. And so, but there's actually, like I said, sex worker academics, I think. Anyways, she was the Regina George of sex worker academics.
Wouldn't describe Alien Goddess as a sweet. It does have vanilla in it, and it's got some floral, but it's very ambery.
A lot of perfumes I like also have vanilla. You can't get away from vanilla in perfumery, but it has to
I like
be used
vanilla.
the proper way, you know?
Yeah. I don't like super sweet scents. I
Because you're not crazy, and you're not 12, and you're not a Kardashian.
think I could pull off like some glitter
Maybe.
and
And
like
like,
smelling like a cupcake.
The Kardashians, I just like it's a whole demographic. It's like a whole, it's a feeling, it's a vibe. You know that they smell sickly sweet, probably a little bit spicy at the same time. Like just I love spicy perfumes, but don't put them with sweet perfumes. It's just like the worst combo.
This question wasn't on my list,
Okay.
but now that you said that, as someone who does perfumery, you see people how you just described and think of what their scent would be.
Not on purpose and not all the time, but yeah, I mean, when I think of a scent, I think of the type of person who would wear it for sure. I have this, like, for me, the scents that I love and the idea of the scents that I love are very old world glamour, but they're not like, they can be like 40s or 50s or 60s glamour, but I mean 1970s glamour, like Studio 54, ladies in fur coats that smelled like Taboo by Dana. Do you know that one? It's like, if you Google it, it's very woody. It has a heavy patchouli, rose, cedar wood. Youth Dew is another one, Aromatics Elixir. And all of the, I picture like a bit heavy makeup, long, lush hair, fur coats, diamonds, rhinestones, glitter and glitz and glamour. Those are the people that when I see them, I can't help but always be trying to create the perfume for those people. I also have ones for like younger girls. I have ones that I think of garden parties, but yeah, I definitely look at people and imagine what they smell like, whether I want to or not.
I feel like that could get you in trouble a little bit. Like, when you see someone, maybe they look to you like they smell like the person that you were describing that you don't like. Do you automatically have a bias then?
I think we do that. We think we all do that anyway. But no, I honestly, and I don't want to brag, I think my unconscious biases are pretty low compared to most people.
feel like you're here to brag. It's okay to brag.
Yeah, well, my unconscious biases are
Toot
pretty
your own
low
horn.
compared to most people. I don't, even if I judge at first sight, which we all tend to do, I don't carry that with me most of the time.
To me about where perfumery and tarot overlap for you and how those work together.
They're both thinking systems. They don't work in the same way, but the way that they overlap is that tarot cards they're symbolic thinking systems. You use them to access regions of your brain and help organize and formulate your thinking. That's what they are for me. I'm not a psychic. Well, I think maybe I am, but it doesn't come into the tarot. I mean, who knows, right? But you don't need to be a psychic to read tarot. You need to be able to put together the patterns and distinguish the archetypes and read what the cards are telling you, and then pull those things out of your mind, put them on the table, and make them work so that you can improve your life, improve your thinking, improve how you see things. Perfume can also be a thinking system. I actually wrote something about this. So tarot pulls your thoughts out, the inside goes out, so that you put your thoughts on the table. Perfume is a thinking system where you work from the outside in. So you bring the scent into your limbic system, into your memories, and that helps you process your thinking. You can rationalize your thoughts based on the associations that you have with your senses. It's not just smell, you also do it with all your other senses, but nobody thinks twice about that. Obviously, what you see impacts what you think. What you hear impacts what you think. What you say impacts what you think. What you touch impacts what you think, but we don't talk about that with scent. Why? Scent is a massively powerful way to help organize your thinking from the outside to the in. Tarot is from the inside to the out.
Me, the common thread to both of them, and you may disagree with me because you're talking a little bit more rational than this. I believe that you're describing using your intuition, both of them.
I mean, I'm certainly not going to tell you that you're wrong. I mean, heuristics are absolutely a thing, right? That we use in everything in life. So yeah, that could be a way of looking at it. And what we call things, the language that we put to things, doesn't have to change. It only changes their meaning slightly. Just because you change the word, you're only changing its meaning slightly. I mean, what is intuition? It's what we sense with our guts. But what we sense with our guts, we're also working with what's in the back of our minds, right? So you're using all of the information that you've accumulated throughout your life to make a decision or to view things. So yes, exactly. Intuition, if that's what we call that.
Language is such a powerful, it's almost like manifestation, I guess. I know you hate that word.
I don't hate it. No, manifestation is, I don't like the way people use the word manifestation to think that you just have to sit there and visualize something and everything's going to fall into your lap. Have you read Into the Magic Shop by James Doty?
No, I haven't.
You should. And then he also has,
Write it down.
yeah. And then I think he has a book that might actually just be called Manifestation, but I'm not sure. Mind Magic. It's called Mind Magic. It talks exactly about that and how manifestation actually works neurologically. He's a neuroscientist.
Now that we're talking about books, combined with talking about more mundane explanations, is your book just an explanation of all of those things? How pattern recognition, behavioral psychology, all of that
It starts
plays
off
into
yeah, it starts off like that. I have a whole bunch of the beginning is like a bunch of pages of me rambling about how neuroscience comes into play, manifestation, heuristics. I don't think I use the word heuristics because I always have trouble using it in a sentence. So, but intuition, coincidence, behavioral economics, and then after that, there's like every card has a thing. So I have the description of the upright, then the description of the reversed. Then I have 10 questions for each card that you should ask yourself if you pull this card, depending on the situation. And then there is actually, after each card, 1 to 3 scientific studies, so associated with the meaning behind the card. So explanations of research papers that may associate with that type of thinking.
Do you think tarot helps interrupt bias, or does it just give us a more creative way to engage with it?
Both, I think, probably. When you say interrupt bias, do you want to tell me what you mean by that so I don't miss your point?
I mean, do you think that we're just looking at the cards and seeing what we want to see? Like that would be the engaging with our bias in a creative way. Or does it interrupt it? Does it stop us from the hamster wheel in our head, the stories that we're telling ourselves, what we want to hear?
Both. The second one is definitely the better option, but it depends on how you engage with it. It's hard to face yourself. It's hard. I had this woman come to me and I did a reading for her, and it was so weird because she booked the reading. She wanted the reading. She, believed in this stuff. But then she came to me and every single card she pulled, I was like, okay, so this is happening, and then she was like, no, I don't really see that. No, that doesn't really apply to me. No, not really. So I was just like, after 40 minutes, I was like, okay, so I'm batting 0 here, right? Nothing I'm saying is applying to you. We are doing very badly. I think you're going to want your money back. And she was like, well, actually, I do have this addiction. It's like, oh, so literally every single thing that I've said has been 100% accurate. You just didn't want
In
to
denial.
admit that that was, you know. And then she started downplaying the addiction a little bit. And I was like, but I mean, I said this on another podcast I was on recently. If you're there's no downplaying an addiction, and you're not fooling anybody. When you have an actual addiction, you think about that every day. That addiction, you think about it 24/7. You never forget about it. You know it's there. She knew the whole time what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So, and to her credit, then it went better after that. She's a really lovely person, but sometimes even the loveliest of us have a hard time facing ourselves.
I think there's probably parts of all of us that we struggle to face.
No, of course, I'm an asshole.
I totally get that from you. I didn't want to say anything. Glad you brought it up.
My husband would be, if he was standing here, he'd be like, oh, yeah.
Do you think people trust answers more then when they feel like it's coming from outside of themselves?
It depends on the person. Some people, yes, some people really want to hear an answer that's coming from outside of themselves. But if only if they believe in tarot, if they believe in magical systems. I mean, people scoff at me all the time. So I'll pull out a card and I'll be like, here, this is your life. And you can tell by their body language that I'm right, but they're not going to admit it. But you also know they're going to trust it. And they're going to, once that truth presents itself, they're going to change their behavior possibly accordingly, or at least think about it. So yeah, I think it does depend on the person, but a lot of people trust answers that come from outside themselves. And then some people don't want to listen to anybody but themselves.
I always wonder how it is to live like that. Just because I'm constantly learning, constantly questioning, whether it's myself, other things. And then I look at people that are just happy to stay in the same spot. There's never more, you know? It's got to be a boring life.
Yes, I agree.
You use the term rational magic, and I feel like this is a good time to bring that up. What does that mean?
Like I said, it's the see, I use terms and then nobody's ever asked me to explain that before. It's fitting magic into uh it's fitting magic into reality. Like I said, so like I said earlier, the mundane is magic. So you can be rational and that can become magic. So the world is full of magic based in rationality. Highways. I love the example of highways. Highways they fold distance, right? They fold distance and yet they span all the way across entire countries, entire nations. The amount of work, the rational engineering, mathematics, structure that went into putting together a highway to speed time from like a week-long horse ride to an hour-long car ride is magic based in this incredible amount of rationality. And you can do that in your life. You can look at your life and you can magically transform it into something else using logic and pragmatism and rationality.
Got me starting on the time thing, how time's a construct. I'm not going to go into it though. I think we're moving toward a more mystical culture, or are we just rebranding old folk magic into new language?
Into new language. Definitely. I don't see people moving towards a more mystical culture. I think, do you?
I think that there's a lot of reclaiming of old ways of knowing going on right now. I see a lot of women, particularly menopausal women, stepping into what would have been an older role for matriarchs in our society and really embracing intuition, things that are historically associated with the female and in our patriarchal society have been seen as less than or weird or woo woo. And they're now unapologetically owning it. And I hadn't seen that before. So I do think there's a shift. It's a reclaiming to me, though, I think.
I like that answer because that's actually true. If I wasn't married, I would definitely just go into swamp witch mode and be unapologetic about it.
Yes.
Oh, this is interesting. I pulled 3. Sometimes I only pull 1.
Can I see that?
Yeah. So in the middle, I have 3 of Wands,
Oh, those are interesting. Okay.
5 of Wands,
I got the 3, 4, and 5 of Wands.
the 3 of Wands, the 5 of Wands, and the 6 of Pentacles.
I thought that said 4 of Wands, 6 of Pentacles. Tell me
Mhm.
what the 3 of Wands means to you, first of all, because then I'm going to tell you something weird about it.
Like expansion. What does it mean to you?
Funny thing is on my daily, did you watch any of my daily card pulls?
I watched a few this morning.
I was just going to say, I've been waiting to get the fucking 3 of Wands because I have so much to say about it.
Say it
Because-
now.
No,
Let's point
it's
out then. That
about
does make
taking
sense.
up space for me. It's about giving yourself permission to step into a role, right? And to, it's about giving yourself permission to claim something. So I just think that it's funny that I've been waiting for that stupid card, and now you're pulling it for me, and I don't get to do it in my daily card pull.
Well, you can do it in your daily card pull,
I have to wait for
You
it to
can
come
do a
up.
pose.
where you talk about having it pulled for you. You can express your frustration.
Yes,
To talk about the card.
that's true. And I can post, once you have this up, I can post it on my
To bang out some social media.
social media. Yes, exactly.
And the 6 of Pentacles, like, I'm just, yeah, support, a gift. But the 5 of Wands is like conflict, right?
Well, it's not like I don't have any conflict, so,
No.
So 5 of Wands for me is stupid, unnecessary conflict and knowing when to pick your battles.
And we're talking about taking up space and claiming. I guess we could say if in the past maybe you've
Or the very recent past, by the way.
had
In my very recent past.
a stupid conflict.
I've had a very stupid conflict in my very recent past, so I would say you're bang on.
Yeah,
6 of Pentacles.
Which position is that?
to the right of the center.
Okay. Maybe somebody's going to give me some money.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
Flirtation. I'll let you talk. Sorry, I'm talking over you.
No, I like a back and forth, and normally I do ask if people are like open and it works in the conversation.
Uh-huh.
Ask them how they feel about it or how they would interpret it. I like reciprocity in general. Like I'm
Yes, I
moving
can
back
tell.
and forth.
Yes.
And I tend to be, I think I'm not average in the sense of how open I tend to be. It's something I have to sometimes close myself off, right? Or people do misinterpret the openness. It's money opportunity on the bottom, like Page of Pentacles. The money undercurrent.
I'm hoping that I'm going to start making a whole bunch of it very soon.
Perfume sales are coming in.
Yeah, it's interesting. So people seem to be more interested in my tarot readings at the moment because it's hard to sell perfume online without people being able to smell it. And I can't ship
Yeah.
samples outside of the country, so I came up with this way of, I'm going to test it today, soaking. So you remember those perfume samples that used to come in magazines?
Yes.
So I bought these flat metal packages, like envelopes, and I'm going to soak gauze in the perfume and then
Yep.
seal it in there and see if I can mail that. So yeah, no, that makes a hell of a lot of sense to me, to be honest with you. Past conflict, current, stepping into a role. The thing for me about the 3 of Wands is you have to, no matter what you are, and this is what I want to talk about, no matter what it is you want to be, you have to give yourself permission to call yourself that thing. So if you write a book and nobody's read it, you're a writer, you're an author. If you take a course in perfumery, if I take a course in perfumery and I start making perfumes, I am a perfumer. You are a podcaster, right? And I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves permission to be the thing that we want to be. because we feel conspicuous calling ourselves that thing, particularly with the amount of gatekeeping there currently is in the world. And the same thing with the Six of Pentacles. To me, that means generosity, charity, the abundance of sort of systemic economics, right? Systemic finance, where giving and receiving are on a secular. Why does that sound weird? Cyclical path, right? So to me, that makes a lot of sense to my life, what you just pulled.
I always do a closing question, but before I do that, I do ask if there's anything we haven't talked about or any questions you have or anything you want to make onto the podcast that we haven't gone over.
No, I don't think so. I think you've done a really good job formulating your questions, and you asked some really great ones. You're a joy to talk to, so that was great. The only thing I would say is, feel free to visit my website at beaumontdriveperfumes.com or check me out on Instagram and follow me, because I desperately need the social clout that I don't have at the moment.
On a business note, I don't know if this will work for you, but I'm big on collaboration anyway, is working on collaborating with other people, right? And I do that anyhow with any business that I have, particularly with like witchy women-led businesses. The overlap of audiences can be great to give you a boost.
Yeah, so what are you thinking?
So I will brainstorm ideas and write you an email. Ready for the last question?
Yeah, go.
When everything's said and done, the specifics aside, language, skeptical, magical, do you believe that tarot changes people's lives, or does it just give them permission to change their own?
The second one. Not permission, but a method. It's a tool, just like anything else. The I Ching doesn't change your life. The Enneagram doesn't change your life. Tarot gives you the tools to change your own life. You have to do the work. Nothing's going to change your life for you.
If you want more scent, sorcery, perfume, and prophecy from Elizabeth, you can find her at her website, www.beaumontdriveperfumes.com, and on Instagram at Beaumont_drive. Blood Moon Radio is an indie pod, and every interaction you have with us means so much and helps to keep us going. From tuning in to our episodes, following us on our socials, checking out our YouTube, or heading over to our website to purchase memberships, merch, digital products, or give a donation. Your support means so much. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, remember, the truth echoes louder after dark. Whispered, unfiltered, waiting to be touched. See you soon.